Can you hear me? I know you've got to be quiet, but you could go, yes. How's that? How's that? Okay? Okay at the back? Good. Good. Well, so this is a bit unusual. I'm going to be quiet. Is it going to be difficult? It's a great opportunity, isn't it? Difficult for me, actually, so I'm not going to try not to speak too much. Yeah, so the purpose of this morning is to experience inner peace. I know quite a few of you here, actually, but those that don't know, my name's Pauline, and I teach a regular class in Form B. I've been teaching for a while, so I hope I'll be able to help you with this retreat. We're going to experience inner peace, and from our mind, so in a different way, maybe than usual. And then those of you who are experienced in meditation, we hope to just deepen your experience. And often we're aware of where our inner peace is, but we aren't going to that place. So this morning we'll just begin to experience that. So I guess everyone's had quite a busy morning. There's been a lot going on, maybe travelling on the road. So what we'll do just to begin with is just 5 minutes, we'll just settle our mind. Okay, so if you want to just make yourself comfortable, free your hands if you it's easy to relax, isn't it? Okay, and we just sit in your meditation space and then allow yourself to arrive, just to land in the room. So just notice what's happening within your mind without any judgment at all. You know what your mind's been involved with, and so you're just observing it. And then just let yourself let go of all those thoughts and feelings that you've noticed. You can say to yourself, let go. And imagine that all those things float away. And you just bring your thoughts and feelings in just to yourself. So just you sitting in your seat, aware of others around you. Just acknowledging that, and then just coming in just to yourself. any thoughts or concerns just hanging on, just let them go again. Just notice them and then just let go. So you let go and just settle into this peaceful space, your own peaceful space. Lovely, then we can just relax concentration and just slowly open your eyes. So first of all, this is a little retreat, so it might be your first experience of retreat. So who put the treat in retreat? I think. It is a treat, isn't it? It's a treat to do that. So we're treating ourselves to this time so we can begin being happy. You know, often maybe if you've said to somebody that you're going to go on a retreat and you're not going to speak, they'll be really surprised. You know, they think, oh, I couldn't do that. You know, it's difficult, you know, can be very difficult to do. So even the fact that you've come, you know, that you've decided to give it a go, is really positive. And so we can be happy with ourselves, you know, for that reason too. It's a really good opportunity. And it's not unusual to be afraid of, even to find that it's a bit scary, you know, not to speak or to be on your own as well. If you check, there was an experiment, it was in 2014, where they asked a group of people what they would prefer for 15 minutes. And one of the things was to sit on their own for 15 minutes. Or their option was to give themselves an electric shock. So you can Google this, it's true. And the shock was on their leg. And they had experienced the shock previously before they were asked, and they said no, they wouldn't want that. Right? But when they were given the option of sitting with their own thoughts or having electric shock, a lot of them chose the electric shock rather than to sit quietly. So you can see, I think it was more than half. So you can have a look and see. So what are they missing? You know, what are they missing? We need this. So just a few details about the retreat. We're going to be silent, and we're going to not speak in the break. So we're going to keep silent. We're not going to be talking. That's the plan. So with a retreat, you always make some boundaries around it. That's the thing, to make it special and to separate it from ordinary life. In some way, make some boundaries. So it doesn't always have to be a lot. But we say, you know, in this situation, I'm not going to maybe, you know, listen to the radio even, or I'm not going to watch the TV. It might be even something like that if you're at home. So we draw some boundaries round today here. And the boundaries we're drawing around is that we're not going to speak in the breaks. You can still have tea and biscuits, can't we? but we're not going to engage with each other because we're engaging with ourselves, with our own mind. And so by not engaging, we're not really giving eye contact. Don't worry about that. Sometimes, some of our mind, you'll see this. We want to always be looking at everyone. Is it okay? Do you think I'm okay? Those things are going on in our mind, so we'll notice that. So we just really get on with our own stuff. And normally we'd sit around a table, wouldn't we, and then have a chat and check in with each other. So really it's better to keep your own space. If you're sitting around, if you're sitting around all staring at each other, it could be awkward. And it's not really the purpose, is it? We're going within too. So if you need to speak, we'll just keep quiet. If someone stood on your foot, you maybe need to tell them. And then if you need to say something or convey something, there's no point in doing charades, so many syllables, whatever. It happens, it happens. So if we need to say, it's better just to quietly say, what we need to say. And if anyone's very worried or feels very uncomfortable, Sudan is here in the break as well, and he's available, if you need to talk to him. So don't be worried about it. And anyone who's online, if there's anyone online, then they can draw their own boundaries too. One of the main boundaries, I think, that we'll notice is no phones. Right? So try to keep away from your phone. You can give them into Sudara if you want, or just put them on rather than silent. Maybe do not disturb, something like that. Then nothing's going to come through. It's up to you. You all have everyone has choice, but this is the way we'll get the best from it. So those at home can do that. Maybe they can keep their phones in another room. They could do it. Maybe no external. You draw your own boundaries, but make sure you've got some. I'd say, something that you normally do that you're not going to do. So I think that's all about the retreat. If you see people here that you want to catch up with after we finish this morning, then we can have a cup of tea and have a chat afterwards. You may feel like you don't ever want to speak again by the time you finish, and you just float out. But if you want to stay, then you're all welcome to stay. Good, so we're going to do a few meditations. What I've used is How to Transform Your Life. Is anyone new here for the very first time? Oh, how cool is that? Yeah, this book is an entry-level book. We can get a free download for this. So this is used a lot in classes, and it's amazing book. I use it a lot, still have used it for years, and it still comes up with surprises for me. And there's a couple of other books I'll show you in the next couple of sessions. And then this card here will give all the meditations. You need to buy this, but if you go onto the tarpa.com, it'll show you how to get the meditations, and also some information about the meditations as well. They used to have a little book. I don't want to make you jealous if you haven't got this, because they don't have it anymore, but there's a little book here, and that explains the meditations as well. But I think on the download it will have all the explanations of the meditation too. So we're looking at inner peace. We're looking for inner peace. Who is not looking for inner peace? Everybody is looking for it. We spend our whole lives looking for it. And some people never find it. They spend their whole life in busy searching in various ways, needing to get their life into a certain order in order to be peaceful, to be calm, but yet never feeling contented. So in How to Transform Your Life, right at the beginning, The writer is the founder of our tradition. He's called Geshe Kelsang Gyatso Rinpoche. And we study all his books. He always puts very important information right at the beginning. I think because he understands that we never finish any books nowadays. So if we got it at the beginning, we've got all the important information. So he says where happiness comes from, where peace comes from. Even though a whole life can be spent looking for it, he has it here in this paragraph on page 8. The real source of happiness is inner peace. Okay, simply that. If our mind is peaceful, we will be happy all of the time, regardless of external conditions. Interesting. We can check that in our own experience. If we've got a peaceful mind, he's saying, it doesn't matter what's happening externally. You know, we can be going through difficult relationships, difficulties at work, difficulties with our housing, our health, any of those things. But if we have a peaceful mind, we still remain happy. But if our mind is disturbed or troubled in any way, we will never be happy, no matter how good our external conditions may be. External conditions can only make us happy if our mind is peaceful. We can understand this through our own experience. Yeah, so he says, for instance, even if we're in the most beautiful surroundings and have everything we need, the moment we get angry, any happiness we may have disappears. You may have experienced that yourself, you know, when you're on holiday and everything's very beautiful. Or something upsets us, you know, the person that we're on holiday with is annoying or annoys us. We can't enjoy what's going on. And we blame them. We say, you have ruined my holiday. But in actual fact, it's our own mind that's ruined our holiday. You know, if our mind is peaceful, then the holiday will be okay. So he says, if it's anger, anger has destroyed our inner peace. So we can see from this that if we want true lasting happiness, we need to develop and maintain a special experience of inner peace. So that's what we're doing this morning. We're developing this special experience of inner peace, and we're looking where he suggests peace is within the mind. The real source of happiness is inner peace. And if our mind is peaceful, we will experience happiness. Yeah. So we're going to think about the first meditation that we're going to do. And it's called a body of light. But before we go into meditation, especially those who are here for the first time, we're talking about inner peace and finding inner peace. But inner peace is already there. It's like, you know, when you're looking for something, like often your glasses, for instance, that comes to me straight away. And you look all over the house and you can't find them. And then you find them where they were in the first place. Because they were already there. It's just that you missed them that time. It's the same with the peace, you know, within our mind. It's already there. So I think one of the most important messages with meditation is don't force it. It's not about forcing, about gritting our teeth, you know, looking for peace, you know, in that way. It's already there. So it's more a question of allowing. Just letting. We let all the distractions, we let all our distractions and disturbances. We'll talk about that more, but we just allow that. At the end of Transform Your Life, there's a chapter about meditation, And this is very important. It says, when the turbulence of our distracting thoughts subsides and our mind becomes still, a deep happiness and contentment naturally arises from within. Right. So there's a few important words in there, and it's just one sentence, isn't it? But it's a deep happiness, right? It's not a bit of happiness. It's a deep happiness within. And it naturally arises. It naturally arises. It's there. It's been there. It's been there since beginningless time within. Although we've been looking everywhere else, it's already there. It's been there since beginningless time. It naturally arises from within. Our mind becomes still. So, and it's from within. Right. So that's the thing really with it, is just to relax. If you find that anything makes you feel a bit more disturbed or a bit more agitated, then, don't do it. Just go back. Just, rewind a little bit. Go back and just go back to relaxing and just relax. So with this body of light, what we're looking at is body and mind. And we're looking at body and mind being different. This is what we'll learn this morning as well. The body and the mind are separate. And what we're training in is the mind. Our mind is the most important to us. We think our body is, don't we? We think our body, always concerned about our body. And really not so much about our mind. Our body and mind are both important, but our mind is the thing that is with us. It's with us through eternity. It's with us every day, every moment of our life. And it creates all our experiences. So in that way, it's a lot more important than the body. So this meditation is called a body of light, and we're just looking at reducing our feeling to the body. It's quite simple, but what we're doing is we're looking at the mind and letting go of our feelings of the body. We'll listen to the liberating prayer first, which is a traditional prayer, just to get our minds ready to ask for blessings. And then we're just going to begin to relax. So we can start to relax in the liberating prayer. If you've been here, if you're just here for the first time, the red card has got all the words if you want to follow it. Okay, are we ready? Thanks.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind, and to heal my and my strong wish to rely upon you. May all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled. And may Holy Dhamma flourish forevermore.
So I just begin by relaxing in our meditation space. Just check that your back is straight and that you're comfortable. If you need to move a little before you start, maybe that your neck needs to move. No, your head is straight, but just bowed a little, just as if you're looking at the ground. Your hands are relaxed in your lap, and your feet are both comfortably on the ground. And we just start to get a sense of ourselves in our seat. So now just being aware of your body as it sits. And then in your mind's eye, imagining the outline of your body, from the top of your head, right down the outside, right down to the soles of your feet. And then let everything that's within the outline, just everything within the outline, imagine that it just dissolves away and just disappears into empty space. So you have a hollow body. And we just concentrate for a few minutes on this hollow body. And we're so used to the physicality of our body and experiencing it, that feeling of our body comes back. So we get that feeling of a hollow body, but then that physicality comes back. So you just do it again. If you start to feel a very solid body, just let it dissolve away again. Don't worry how many times you have to do that. If you feel very solid in your body, just let it all dissolve away, just keeping the outline. So keeping this feeling of a hollow body and just being aware of the outline of your body. And then just let the outline of your body start to disappear. It just starts gradually and gently to dissolve away until it's more like a mirage, just not very clear. Around the shape of your body. And then gradually the outline of your body also starts to dissolve away. So all there is an empty-like space, a peaceful space. If the solid feeling comes back, just let it go. If the outline comes back, just dissolve it away. Just let all of this go into a peaceful, empty-like space. And that's the object of the meditation. We just try to keep our mind on a peaceful, empty-like space. if you've had some mental wandering, been distracted, just for now, just for the last minute, just come back. Just let everything melt away into light. Just let your mind rest in a peaceful, empty-like space. And so we can begin to slowly come out of the meditation. No, there's no hurry, just notice any peace, any relaxation, any effort that you've made. Acknowledge that. And slowly let your mind rise up again. Take your time. We're here to relax. Or let your eyes open when they're ready. So when you're ready, we can start to leave the meditation room, but if you want to stay in, of course, if you want to stay here, this is a nice place to sit too. I'll see you in this next session. Thanks. see everyone survived without the phone, I think. Most of us. Lovely. So let's begin. We're going to look a little bit more about our mind. But first of all, let's just let our mind settle again in meditation. So we just do like 5 minutes breathing meditation. I'll guide you through. So if you just make yourself comfortable and get ready just to settle into your own meditation space. So just let your thoughts gather inwards, just into yourself, sitting in your seat. And then just connecting with your breathing, just a natural breath. And we can use this to settle ourselves, just settle by holding your mind on the breathing. Distractions come in, just let them go and just come back to the breath. And then we can just slowly relax our concentration on the breath and just let your eyes open when you're ready. So earlier, reading in How to Transform Your Life, I was saying, if we want to experience a true and lasting happiness, then we need to develop and maintain a peaceful mind. So in this session we want to think a little bit more about the mind. obviously that's the most important thing. The mind creates our experience. And as I was saying, we don't always give it that much attention. In fact, it seems like it's just doing stuff on its own, really, most of the time. Yeah, so what is the mind? I asked ChatGPT what it was, just to see, out of interest, what it would say. You could do the same and just see. Actually, it gave quite a comprehensive answer. I was surprised. It always surprises you. So, but it did say that there were different ways of looking at the mind. That there was a scientific way, and the scientific way is physical. That the mind comes from the brain. And then there was more of a religious connotations and ideas about the soul. So it came up with quite a few things to think about. And then I asked Siri, and Siri asked me to ask ChatGPT. So I thought if we went out in the park now and asked people, what is the mind, and they wouldn't really, it's a surprising question, isn't it? What is your mind? And maybe even though someone's lived a long life, they might not have even contemplated that question. It's very important, isn't it? And we think, if it's often said that the secret of happiness is within the mind, But it shouldn't be a secret, should it? It should be everyone to know this, that they can look there. So I think a lot of people you ask would say, well, I don't know, it's my brain, it does stuff, and that's the way it seems, isn't it? We're so busy with external stimulus that we don't think about that. And that's right, we think it does do that. And people will say, maybe yourself says, my brain's telling me, to do something. We say that in conversation. So it's quite interesting to sometimes change the way we look and the way we speak about our mind as well, and say, your brain is telling you, but your brain is a physical thing. There's nothing in the brain that can find the mind. And ChatGPT said that nobody really knows what the connection is between the mind and the brain, right? Not even science. So, but we kind of, in our part of the world, we think a lot. We put a lot of store in what science says, and say it as if it's actually true. Whereas science itself is all based on probability, isn't it, as well? But it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that answer. And when it does, even it says, that the brain creates the mind. Now, Buddha will explain, Buddha can explain exactly about the mind. It can explain what the mind is. It can explain where it is. It can explain where it comes from, where we keep it, what the connection is between the body and the mind. It's all there. Buddha explains that to us. And if we take that explanation and use that, to develop our own consciousness, then there's no end. There's no end to the joy and the happiness that we can experience from within the mind. The mind is completely joyful and happy. At the moment, not so much. But let's see what this book here is all about, the mind. The whole book is about the mind, how to understand the mind. So it's quite complicated. I don't know, if you were moved to read it, then any time read it, But we can study this. We have study programs where this book is studied as well. So maybe some people here have already studied it. So let's see what it says about the mind. Right at the beginning, page 5. What is our mind? Right? The nature of our mind is clarity. Any wiser? Yeah. The nature of our mind is clarity, which means it's something that is empty like space, always lacking form, shape, and colour. Right? So it's empty like space. It's not space. Right? Because space, it goes on to say that, but space has colour. Yeah. The mind is not actual space because produced space possesses shape and colour. So during the day it can be light and during the night it can be dark. Yeah. And space is always has objects in, so it changes its shape for that reason. Yeah. So that is the mind, clarity. So the nature of the mind is clarity. And if we're not sure what clarity is, I would be encouraged. It encouraged me a lot because Geshe Khalsen Gyatso Rinpoche also said that he didn't understand for a long time what clarity was. Right? He didn't. He did eventually, but at first he didn't understand what it was. So it is like an experience of mind because it's consciousness. Some of these things are very difficult to, once they become physical or once they become in speech, it's quite difficult to do. But we do it in imagination to begin with. We think on the nature of my mind is clarity. So it's clear, and we can say, we can use our imagination to think maybe like space. It's like space, but it's not actual space. So space is clear, isn't it? Blue sky is clear. And space has no beginning or end, does it? Either. So in that way, it's similar too. Yeah. And so that's the nature of the mind. Also, you might think of something clear. Maybe you've been fortunate enough to go on to one of these beautiful islands where they've got clear sea. Yeah. And you can think about the clarity of the sea. Or maybe you've seen a waterfall with clear water, or a pool that's clear. And we could think of it like that too. I sometimes think of glass as well, that it's clear, isn't it? There's clarity within glass, when it's very clean. And that's also what we're looking at with our mind. We're starting to experience our mind. And we'll do this in meditation. But it's a bit like a mirror. When you look in a mirror, what you look at often is what's in the mirror, don't you? We look at what's in the mind. But when we're meditating on the mind, we're actually looking at the mirror itself. To see, looking at the thing that is reflecting too. So the actual mirror. So there's many ways that we can describe, how to experience our mind. But they're all beautiful, aren't they? So when our mind is, full, it's something that we can go back to if our mind's disturbed, which it often is, isn't it? So the function of the mind, is to perceive or understand objects. So that's what it's there for. It perceives and it understands objects. We normally say, I see such and such, and this is because our mind sees the object. And because our mind understands things we say, because our mind understands things, we say, I understand. But it's actually our mind that understands. Yeah. So our perception and understanding are functions of our mind. Without mind, we are powerless to perceive and understand objects. So mind is most important. Once our mind is gone from this life, this body is not going to see and understand objects anymore. it all happens, within the mind. So it's very, very precious, isn't it? How we deal with it and what we put into it, very important. Yeah, so if it's so clear and peaceful, how come we don't feel that? It's a good question, isn't it? How come we don't feel that? We don't feel that at the moment. We don't experience that at the moment because of our negative minds. So if we think again about the sky, which will be our meditation, the sky is clear. We agree about that, don't we? The sky is always clear, but it doesn't always look clear. Like today, for instance, there's blue sky there. If we all know, most of us know, don't we, if we go up in a plane, we will see how clear the sky is, but the clouds are obscuring it. Yeah. But clouds only come because of causes. Things cause clouds to appear. So they're not part of the sky. Do you see that? They're not part of the sky. There's causes and conditions that bring about clouds. It gives them their power. And then when those causes and conditions go away, there are no clouds. Yeah. So our mind is that way too. The thing that obscures our mind from experiencing the peace and the clarity within our mind is our negative minds. Yeah. So negative minds, and Buddha called these delusions. So negative minds are like anger, but other things that make us sad. We've got loss. We can check about delusions. They always make us unhappy, and that's the thing about delusions. So there may be irritation, even disappointment. Anything that disturbs our mind. It's not. Sometimes we don't think we're angry, but we are frustrated. Or where are we happy? Where is our happiness? These are states of mind that take away our happiness, and that is. But they're caused by something. They're caused by something. So there's something that will cause that negative mind, and so that's where the negative mind gets the power from. And the same as the way clouds obscure the sky. So these negative minds, they have causes and conditions, and they give us power. But if we don't give them power, they have no power to remain. So any negative minds or unhappiness we have them because we give them power. If we don't give them power, then they have no way to upset us or hurt us. So this is what we're doing, looking at the mind. Many, many teachings involved in changing our mind so that we think differently, we can think in a different way, but that will reduce the power. Simply something like anger or frustration, we can change it by patience. So those are things that we can train our mind. But when we're looking at our mind now, we can say, well, we don't have to allow these minds to come in. So different minds are coming in. Distraction is something that really prevents us from concentrating and therefore experiencing the peace of our mind. So distractions and thoughts, with being quiet now, you'll get a chance to have a look. You have a look at thoughts coming, think, where did that come from? Don't we? Suddenly a memory, something comes back. But if something negative comes back, the function of a delusion is to make the mind unpeaceful. So if we have an unpeaceful mind, we can unpick that sometimes in meditation. We can think, where's that come from? It's come from, because I was disappointed, about something. I didn't get something I wanted. And you can maybe see where it comes. But a good thing to do with delusion, negative minds, it's a breeding ground for more negative minds. We know that, don't we? As soon as our mind becomes unhappy, it becomes more and more unhappy. We think about more and more things that make us unhappy. We do things that make us more and more unhappy, and it's a downward spiral. So if we catch our mind, before it does that, then there's more chance of keeping a peaceful mind. And that's why we're meditating on the mind. That's why we're observing it, because once we observe it, we can see what's going on within the mind. I mean, thoughts come for causes, don't they? They come from habits, and they come from, sometimes they come from previous lives. But we can have really odd thoughts, and they're just thoughts. You know, the mind is often likened to clear water, and that it's muddy with these thoughts, and that when we let them settle, then we experience the clarity of the mind. So we don't identify with these thoughts. I had this example of my own mind. It doesn't show myself in a good light, but I thought I might use it for an experience. This week I was walking with my dog, and I had a poo bag. I was looking for a bin. Well, I hadn't found a bin. I was going to throw it away when I found a bin. And I was just walking along, and I suddenly thought, I could put this in the post box. I didn't put it in the post box. But, you know, it's just a weird thought, isn't it? It's just a weird thought. And then my mind began to imagine the postman opening the post box. You know that? So your mind just goes down and down and down, doesn't it, as well? Just so distracted. But that's my silly mind. But we all have silly thoughts. But sometimes we have dangerous thoughts, don't we? We can have a pervasive thought. We can have thoughts that destroy our confidence. You know, saying that when messages that have come from us from a long time ago, you're not good enough. You'll never do this. You know, those things will pop up. But if we understand our mind and we know how pure our mind is, I was like that with that thought. That was funny. You know, I thought, you know, where's that come from? And just let it go, you know, let it go. And the same with even, you know, they're not true thoughts. It's not something you could say with that, oh, you're an awful person, couldn't you? And identify with that, you know. But it's not. You can say, no, it's just a thought. You know, but if we identify with the thought, what we identify with, it's the peace and the clarity. You just go back to that. And when you've got some meditation experience, it becomes easier and easier to do that. You know, these thoughts become not so loud. You know how a mother with a couple of children, my daughter-in-law has 2 little children, and when she's talking to me, I can't hear what she's saying because the children are so noisy or they're doing something. Yeah, but she can talk, she can listen, she tunes it out, but she knows when something important's happening. You know, if someone's hurt themselves, she's right there. You know, but it's tuned out. And it's the same, like, these thoughts are just like noisy children, aren't they? And they, you know, they lose the volume once we start to appreciate how peaceful our mind can be and how we can train our mind. There's no need ever to be afraid of our mind, because our mind is peaceful and calm. It's the thoughts, isn't it? We don't need to be afraid of them, but we kind of need to deal with them, don't we? They're not going to go away on their own. And we do that. We've got ways to do that. We do it through meditation and simple ways. So what we're going to do now is an observing of the mind. So this is beautiful meditation. And we're just going to watch our mind and go in there. Just let our thoughts clear, and think about the mind like a clear sky, just like a clear sky. And then what we'll notice is that thoughts come in. The thoughts, they're feelings. Sometimes it's a physical feeling, sometimes it's a feeling, but we just notice the thoughts. But what we're going to do is we're not going to give them any attention. So we're not going to be distracted by them. We're going to notice them and then let them go. Because this is the thing about thoughts. You can't have a thought unless you think it, right? I like that. You don't think it. So I'm not going to think that. We don't do it in any kind of tense way. Just allow it to come. And we're just watching what's happening within the mind. And this meditation is called clarity. So we're going to sink down into the clarity of our mind. And when the thoughts come out, and then what will happen is they will slowly reduce, they'll reduce. Maybe, sometimes they're not so much, sometimes they'll reduce a lot. We just watch what's happening. And don't get involved in what thoughts are coming. Just observe. Like David Attenborough used to be. I'm sure there's someone else nowadays at the waterhole. When he's at the waterhole, and he's just like, here comes the crocodile. Yeah. And it's very quiet, and he's noticing. And here's the crocodile hasn't eaten for a year, right? And now, here comes the antelope, right? And he's just observing and saying. So, the same with this. This is just an observance of the mind. So does that sound okay? Do you like the sound of it? It's a lovely meditation. Okay. Let's settle into our meditation space then. Let's make ourselves comfortable. If you like to begin with a little bit of breathing, just to settle yourself into your space. I don't rush into your meditation space. So first of all, when we begin, our mind can be quite busy. I just accept the way we feel. And then we can contemplate this, that our mind is like the sky. Vast and unobstructed. So it has no beginning. It has no end. It's indestructible. But it can be obscured by clouds. So the clouds just come through causes and conditions. So when the conditions are right, the sky is obscured. And when the conditions change, the clouds disappear. They don't go anywhere, they just disappear because there's no condition now for them to be there. And they're not part of the sky at all. If anything goes through the sky, it's never harmed. It remains a vast expanse. Similarly, our mind is just the same. Just as clouds form and disperse, so our thoughts form and disperse. So, however cloudy the sky might be, it still remains a blue, clear expanse. So, however filled our mind is by thoughts, it still remains clear. And so we just settle down now and start to watch our mind. We remember it's clear, its nature is clarity. Its function is to understand, identify objects, to perceive. So you may be aware of your mind perceiving. So we don't identify with the thoughts and we don't follow the thoughts, so we don't give them our attention. We notice them, we let them go. So just check every now and then that you haven't followed a train of thought. It just takes some practice. We're just practicing to do this, come back to that feeling of clarity. And the object of the meditation is just to experience the peace and this clarity. So we're experiencing a peaceful, clear mind. So just the last minute or so, just hold on to any peace that you've experienced. I don't know, just a light hold. Hold it in your heart. Or even if you've been distracted, hold that you tried in your heart. Maybe you can check the difference between this peaceful mind and the distracted mind. Without judgment. Just hold a peaceful mind. Let your mind rise up when you're ready. Take your time. Stay relaxed, opening your eyes. Lovely. So in then this meditation break, we just try and keep that feeling and that awareness and that thought, observation, isn't it, of any thoughts, feelings coming up, and just going back to that. It's just a simple, peaceful mind. Lovely, thank you. Hello, welcome back. Yeah, so let's just begin by centering ourselves again. You know, maybe you did that outside, but we'll just begin a few minutes. This is called an absorption meditation, where we just absorb everything, all our thoughts and feelings just into ourselves, as if we're a statue or a piece of wood. You know, just no thoughts, no feelings. So just settle yourself in a good meditation position. And then just being aware of your thoughts, feelings, physical sensations. And then imagine that you're just made out of wood or solid, just like a statue. And you just absorb all these thoughts and feelings, just absorb them into your solid body. Any thoughts, feelings or sensations that pop up, just absorb them in. So you're just drawing them in just to yourself, and then they're just solid, inanimate, just as if you're inanimate. And then we can relax our concentration. Thank you. So thinking about this fear and preferring electric shocks and what people might say, oh, I couldn't do that, I couldn't be silent, or I couldn't sit on my own. And a lot of the fear is because of other people. You know, we rely on other people so much, don't we? We rely on them for our security, you know, for our identity, for our entertainment, you know, others. We're always turning to others. So there may be fear of being lonely, you know, that we don't want to sit on our own. So, but it's really important to realize that in meditation and in solitary meditation, we're not alone. You know, so never go into meditation on our own. That doesn't mean to say you have to have somebody sat next to you. It just means in your mind, we're not alone. So it depends on your faith or your lack of faith, how you do this. But there is always, as Buddhists, we say we have a spiritual guide, and the spiritual guide is within us, within our mind, is always there with us. And we rely on the spiritual guide to help us with the meditation. And so you may have another faith, and you may be able to use that faith in that way, that you take your spiritual guide into your meditation with you. And if none of those, then we still have an inner life. If we check, we're more aware we become of our mind. We're aware of that inner voice, which is a wise inner voice. Do you know what I mean? That wisdom that comes, and we know when we have that feeling that that's wisdom within our mind. We all have wisdom and compassion in our mind, and that wisdom mind will speak to us. So going in with that wisdom mind as well is something that will help us. So in meditation and out of meditation, training our mind, we need blessings. We call them blessings here, but they're like positive energy. We need that positive energy. And so if we go in with that, now always take someone with you like that when you go into a meditation. Maybe you land in there in your mind and they're there. We visualize them. We've got Buddhas here, in front of us. We don't need to visualize, we're aware of them as well. So, but always take that in. Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, he says when we go in, we should go in begging him, begging, pleading, really, just go in. So, when we're distressed or unhappy, we think, well, I can't really be meditating on this peaceful mind now because I'm in such a mess, I'll have to do it later. This is the time to do it, this is the time to do it. Sit down in an absolute mess and say, I'm going to meditate now. I'm in a mess. Please help me, please. That's what he means. Please, please, please. Please, please help me. We don't need to say it out loud, but we need that. Do you see that? Like, I need this. Actually, my life's a sham, My life's falling apart or whatever. I feel terrible. But, please help me. And then that comes, so we're never alone. And then if we do longer solitary retreat, it seems as if to others externally that we're completely lonely, that we're on our own. But the more aligned we are with the truth, the more aligned we are to... the truth is that we're connected to everybody. So once we're in our mind and relaxed and comfortable and connected with our peaceful mind, then we're connected with everybody else. We think about others, we think about their suffering, we're motivated by that as well. So, we're wanting others to be happy, and, in that space, we get all our thoughts about ourselves and all our distress about ourselves is out of the way, and we are concentrating on others. So you could say that every living being, is with us in our meditation, and we're definitely not alone. And we feel more tuned to others as well. So if we spend some time on our own, it's interesting. It's what's counterintuitive, isn't it? But the more time you spend on your own, the more connected you are with other people. The more tuned you are to them. Yeah. So this meditation is again on the mind. So we're looking at it a little bit deeper. So this is a deep dive into the mind for the last meditation. So we've been thinking about our mind and you've been experiencing it. So how does it move around? What happens? How does it do that? It pops from one thing to another, doesn't it? Do you reckon you know how? You don't know. Of course, don't answer. We're not speaking. But yeah. So how is it moving around? Yeah. Well, the answer is in here again. How to understand the mind. It moves. It rides on the wind. Cool, isn't it? Rides on the wind. And that's how come it's so quick. The mind is quick, isn't it? It goes from one thing to another, to another. You know, there's hardly any. And that's because of the wind element that moves it. Yeah. So on page 7 in How to Understand the Mind, our mind is like a person who possesses eyes but no legs, and so can see things but cannot move from one place to another by him or herself. In the same way, our mind can see objects, but it cannot move from one object to another by itself, right? It can move from one object to another only through the force of a mount. It's like it has to get on a horse, isn't it? It's a good way to think of it. The mount for the mind is the inner winds. Inner winds are the subtle winds associated with the mind and flow through the channels of the body. Yeah, so the flowing through the channels of the body is interesting because when we think about our mind, it's about our head, isn't it? You know, we've got a lot of thoughts going on, it even feels in our head, just in our head. The first time I heard this, someone said, let your mind, let your mind settle towards your heart. I thought, what does he mean? I've no idea. How does he do that? I'm just thinky in here. So it takes a little while, to start thinking about that. So the inner winds are subtle winds associated with the mind and flow through the channels of the body. So they flow all the way through the body. And that's why. So they're flowing. There's a description here as well. It is said that there is nothing quicker than the mind. For example, our mind can reach the moon in an instant by thinking of the moon. But without inner winds, this is impossible. Wow. So I like this. This takes a bit of thinking about. This analogy is that we can go, so our mind can go to the moon. So our body can't go to the moon. Mine certainly can't. No one would let me be an astronaut at my age. So the body's not going to go. We're not probably not fit and healthy and not on the NASA program. But we can go with our mind because we experience everything with our mind. So the mind can go there, body. We can think about that, can't we? So there's a detailed explanation about inner winds in Modern Buddhism, which I've got here. There's a free download of Modern Buddhism as well, so we can read a lot more about this. It's a big subject, but it's fascinating. So how do these winds go? So there's a central channel through the body. We won't find it. It hasn't got any physicality to it, but it starts here at the head, in between the brows, and it curves around down the back, down to the tip, I think, to the tip, to the end of the body. All right, so it goes down there, and then it has branches off as well. In Modern Buddhism, there's proper diagrams of it, you can see, but branches all branch off. So that's the way we know that our fingers touch. The touch, we experience it within our mind. But we know that because the mind is travelling on the inner winds through that. So the point really for this meditation is that the central channel has knots around the heart, right? So it loops around the heart and then it moves on as well. So we're really looking at the heart, and inside the heart is the root of the mind, right? So this is where the mind begins here. So it's not so here. It is here because it's traveling. So we use that intellectually, we use it. But our heart feeling is here. So we do feel, if we check, we do feel in other parts of our body. You have a gut, don't you? Sometimes something happens, it almost feels like you've been punched here, doesn't it, in the mind? That's the experience as well. We have a feeling, yeah. So what we're going to meditate on here is round here at the heart center. But at the heart center, that's where the mind is situated. It's the seat of our mind. And so there's a beautiful explanation in here in modern Buddhism. It's on page 168. So the mind has got different levels, so we experience that. Our gross mind, our waking mind, is when we're awake, we're going about our daily life, we're thinking about things we need to do. Our mind is gross, right? It doesn't mean like, I know they say, it's gross, isn't it? It doesn't mean that. It just means it's easy to know that we're experiencing our consciousness like this. And then it becomes subtle, and it can become very subtle. So it's doing that all the time. So we need to think about sleep, really, because that's where we experience it every day. We experience that when we go to sleep, our gross minds absorb into the central channel and into our heart. Yeah. Because we can check, we don't know what's happening. Do we like a dead person in parts of our sleep? And so, we have no experience of the bedroom that we've been to sleep in. If someone can come in at certain points in our sleep, and our mind is totally absorbed within the central channel, within the heart, and we are like a dead person. Yeah. So, and then when we begin to dream, our very subtle mind will awake again. But the very subtle mind is blissful, right? It's blissful. Yeah. And so every night we experience bliss when we go to sleep. But when we wake in the morning, occasionally, do you feel very happy when you wake in the morning? Just as the mind is waking up and becoming, it's very subtle, it becomes gross. But as it's becoming, sometimes that blissful feeling will take us in our wake. And then we remember our life, and then our mind becomes gross again. So the tragedy really that we don't experience that, or we don't remember it, although we experience it every night. And so in meditation, what we're doing is so the only time we experience the very subtle mind is when we're asleep, in a deep sleep, or when we die. Right. As well, we experience the clear light of death. The clear light of sleep and clear light of death are the same. So we experience them then, but we can train in meditation. Right. So advanced meditators will settle their mind. They can control their mind to such an extent that they experience the clear light, the very subtle mind. Yeah, and we can all do this, and we begin to do it with meditation. We do it today. We've done it today. As long as we let our mind go, we let our mind sink, we go towards that very subtle mind, and we experience it, maybe not aware that we do. And then sometimes later on, a really lovely peaceful feeling will come because of that. Yeah. So this very subtle mind is called the indestructible mind, right? Because it's indestructible. Yeah, it never dies. It's deathless, right? And we all have that within us, an indestructible mind. Yeah. So the indestructible wind is the very subtle wind that is associated with and acts as a mount for the very subtle mind. It's called the continuously residing body because we have had this body continuously in life after life. So although our mind of self-cherishing believes that our present body is our own body and cherishes it, that's what we spend all our time on, isn't it? In reality, our present body is a part of others' bodies because it's part of our parents' bodies. Our self imputed upon our present body and mind will cease at the end of the death process, whereas our self imputed upon our continuously residing body and mind will never cease, but goes from one life to the next. So it's this that goes from one life to the next. It's not ourself. You know, sometimes when we talk about it quite flippantly, about what's going to happen, we say, well, I'm going to come back as my cat, you know, because my cat has a nice life, you know, and can sleep and doesn't have to go to work. You know, so we say, I'm going to come back as that. Well, first of all, we don't really have any choice at the moment about how we're going to come back. But on the other hand, it's not me and my cat. You know, me and my cat are finished at the end of this life. In some ways, they're connected to us because that very subtle mind keeps our imprints. You know, so if we love someone or something, that stays in our heart. You know, so we still have that connectedness with others. So that is the mind that goes from one to the other. So this is what we're doing in meditation, in Buddha's teaching, is that we're creating causes for the future. We take those with us. That's all we take with us when we go. All we have is the imprints of what we've thought and what we've done and what we've said. You know, and if they're negative things, we take them with us. They ripen into negative results. If they're positive, then those ripen into positive results. Yeah. So that is our mind, but within us we have a deathless body. Wow. You know, so it's beautiful, isn't it? This deathless body. Right, and it's called the root mind. So there's so much more to this, isn't it? It's interesting. Do you find it fascinating? It's fascinating, isn't it? But there's an answer there. This is where the mind comes from. You know, the mind is mounted on winds. Its root is in the indestructible mind, and at death. So when we sleep, our mind comes out of that very subtle mind. It becomes subtle, and then it becomes more gross. And there's our new day. You know, we start our new day. We've survived another day, and at death, what happens is that indestructible wind and mind breaks open. And the body and the indestructible body and mind move on the winds. They can leave anywhere from the body, but where we like them to move is through the crown and out, and then there will an intermediate state, and then a new life. When our consciousness opens again, it will be in a new life. So what we're doing now is we're going to meditate on the root mind. So we need to just think of what it is, first of all. So it's quite a nice, simple meditation, but very profound, very profound. So there's 3 things to remember about it. Let's just get them right. It's located at your heart center. Right, so it's located there in the center of the chest. It's the root of all your awareness. So all awareness arises from there. And its nature is clarity, the same as the previous meditation. Those 3 things. And so very similar to the previous meditation on clarity, but this time we're going into the root mind. We imagine, it's all done with imagination. We imagine the root mind, and we let our mind absorb into that, And then we can watch the thoughts arising, and we can watch the thoughts going back. But this is a place to be. So if we find it difficult, it's an idea of being home. It's a home to our mind. Yeah. So that feeling, when you've been on holiday or you've been to a party you didn't enjoy or something, and you come home, it's lovely, isn't it, to come home, relax, settle. This is where I belong. So there's a feeling of belonging with it as well. Do you like the sound of that? Should we try it? Come on. So just using a little bit of breathing meditation just to center yourself. Make yourself comfortable but alert. So just check your back straight. We're moving along now, so just trying to staying in the moment, just to enjoy this meditation. And don't forget, you might like to take in with you your spiritual guide. Some spiritual help for yourself, your inner wisdom. This sounds a little bit complicated. Please, will you help me? So just preparing the ground for your meditation. Create a beautiful meditation space for yourself. Let everything else go. Just you in your chair. And then we can think about the root mind. Where is it? It's at the center of our chest, at the heart center. It's the root of all our awareness. And its nature is clarity, clear, pure, peaceful. So we can say, where is my root mind? We can say it to ourselves. My mind is at the center of my chest, at my heart. It's the root of all my awareness, and its nature is clarity. And then just relaxing and not forcing, but just see if you can sink down a little towards your heart. Maybe you can meditate from your heart, but if not, just see if you can just move a little bit away from your head down. I'm just going home. I'm going to where I belong. And there we are, we could just be aware that we've landed here. The root of all my awareness. And then just in a relaxed way, we could just start to watch. Thoughts arise. They move on the wind. But if we don't give them attention, they just settle back. And so this is the meditation. The clarity of your root mind is the object of meditation. So just focus on this experience and the peace, the inner peace that it evokes. Just check with part of your mind whether you just started that thinky part of the mind again has become gross. And then just let go, just sink down again, just let yourself sink down towards your heart and settle back in. This is where I belong. We can say, this is my true nature. And so without stirring from this peaceful mind, we can dedicate all the positive energy that we've generated, all the wisdom that we've become to understand about our own mind, all that peace that we've experienced, the meditations and the contemplation. We dedicate all this positive energy. Dedicate it to your own happiness, to your own mental peace, and also to the happiness and peace of all beings across the world. And when you're ready, just opening your eyes. Thank you. So just to finish by saying, try and meditate if you're just beginning. Just try and do a little bit of meditation or contemplation. Try to get back, to that peaceful feeling any time in your day when you've got a little gap, instead of reaching for some stimulus, the phone, maybe later, but just for 5 minutes, just settle, connect with that peace. If we're upset or having difficulties, see if we can stop, just come back to who we really are, just come back to that. And if you have no opportunity to sit down, then just mentally, we're talking to someone, maybe you want them to stop, they want to stop talking, just instead just settle into a peaceful mind until they've finished. And practice like that. It gets easier and easier and better and better. I'll be in the cafe if you want to have a cup of tea, if you want to ask me any questions. We're allowed to speak, are we? We're allowed to speak again. Sorry, but we are. I'll see you, thank you.
I don't want to speak.
No. Well, don't. Keep it, go. Yeah, just keep it as long as you can. Lovely. Okay. You enjoyed it? Yeah, lovely. Thanks.